Hello everybody, Kenny's Cat here. And now I just spent 20 minutes talking about Danny's chart. I also want to spend some time talking about my charts too and what my thoughts are based on traditional technical analysis. And I'm going to try to incorporate some of Danny's data to see if I can find some correlates. But basically what we're seeing here is a clean chart of the monthly chart of MARA. I want you to ignore everything that was before 2017 because that was before MARA was even a crypto company, right? So what I'm going to focus on, this is the last bull cycle, right? I have reasons to believe that this is the new bull cycle right here. The couple of things I want to pull up for you first, if this is a TradingView website that you have, you can sign this up for free. You can have all these access, everything that I'm doing here for free. You don't have to pay a dime, right? What I'm going to show you here some of the icons over here, especially this one of my favorite things to do now that I just learned recently to really pull up here on TradingView is the volume shelf, right? Or the official name, I guess, is the anchor volume profile. So if you look at that, I'm just going to click right around here, and this is a pretty good price history. Over here is going to tell you which price range has the most of the stock trading hands at, right? So this really tells you that there's a lot of memory of the stock changing hands maximally around this level right down here, right? And in addition, there are some shelves that are above, and there's some shelves that are above here, right? So these actually serve as pretty good resistance and support levels. I'm going to show you, for example, price kind of broke down a little bit here, but actually found support here at this volume shelf. And matter of fact, I found some support down here at the little bit of volume shelf below, right? Bounced back up, right? Now, initially, price was kind of rejected right here by this volume shelf right here, right? Rejected, went back down, tested support down here, bounced up, passed through this volume shelf right here, got rejected so far for about 3 months at a volume shelf above right here, and guess what? It went back down and it back tested this volume shelf here support, and so far it helped, right? So that's a very important thing about these volume shelves as potential target levels, and also to kind of give you an idea in terms of how strong or how weak the resistance levels are, or as the support levels are, right? Right now we're getting to a point where we're starting to have more support than resistance, and the big volume shelf really above really isn't until maybe around here, around like the 30s maybe. It's looking pretty decent in terms of its constructive price action. I'm going to start pulling up some other indicators here. These are all searchable. So for example, if you just click on indicator, if you just search Bollinger Bands, right? Pretty standard thing to pull up. Down here, again, 20-month moving average is going to be the basis of the Bollinger Bands, right? Down here, start to curl up, bull market. Over here, start to curl up, potential bull market, right? I'm just going to keep it simple. The other thing also I want to look at is, start to curl up, Bollinger Band expands up and expands down, drops down to the floor. Very impulsive bull market. It could potentially ride the price up along the upper Bollinger Band, just keeps going up, right? Very similar phenomenon we're seeing here. Bollinger Band expansion, upper band points up, lower band points down. Who knows, right? I'm just going to leave it as that, right? Who knows, right? The trend is favorable though, right? You have a monthly bull trend developing here, very similar to what you're seeing here. Very, very similar. Now, in addition to looking at the Bollinger Band, which gives you 20-month moving average that's pointing to the bullish direction, in addition to the fact that it's really trying to push against this shelf support up here, the more it tries to do that, the weaker this resistance is going to become, right? It's the third month trying to push through. I have a feeling it's going to probably push through about over here soon. It might go to the 30s, but the volume shelf up here are really getting a little bit weaker, right? So all of these so far are pointing to a very bullish thing here. Now, I'm going to show you another indicator here. Again, if you don't have this favorite, you can just pull it up. Ichimoku Cloud is one of my favorites, right? One thing that just happened this month is that you're going to see there's a Tenkan line right here, and there's a Kijun line right down here. If you have the Tenkan getting above the Kijun, basically have a bullish cross, generally it tells you that there's a longer-term bullishness happening. If it happens on a monthly chart, it could keep going up for about a year or so. Once this happens, right? So for example, last time it happened was back here, right? It didn't fully capture this leg down here, but it captured this whole move up when it crossed. It's about to happen, guys. I don't know whether or not it's going to join together like that. Sometimes when they join together like that, they call it the katana, and it could precipitate a very, very powerful trend going up. I don't know if they're going to join. I don't know if they're just going to simply cross one down, one up. But something potentially very bullish is happening here based on the Ichimoku Cloud analysis that gives you these kinds of lines. Now, where are going to be the targets? Where are your potential resistance? There could be some resistance up here, although the cloud's very thin. I don't anticipate this to be very, very strong resistance, especially also because the volume shelf is just not very strong up here, right? But if you want to look at some of the levels here, okay, so you might be looking once it breaks through, maybe you start getting some resistance here around 34, 35. Maybe you start getting some resistance all the way up to here to the 40, 41, 42 range, right? The 42 range right now, this right here is basically the bottom of the cloud right now. There's a potential for price to go up here and meet a little bit of resistance, or you can go for it kind of like Swiss cheese. Who knows? Because it's been basing down here for a while now. But the cloud does show you that a bullish cross is coming, so that's another indicator that some pretty bullishness is to come. Right now, in addition to this, I started playing around with an indicator that I found to start giving me some pretty interesting insight in terms of flow, right? There's something called, if you just search Blackhead L3 banker, this is something that had just been brought to my attention by my good friend Market Maestro, which I also suggest you to strongly give a follow, right? This is the monthly flow. It technically is supposed to be, the banker fund flow trend oscillator. So it kind of gives you a little bit of idea in terms of what the big money is doing. Again, green generally is more of an inflow. White basically sends that, there might be still a little bit of inflow, but it's decelerating. Red stands for outflow. And blue stands for, hey, there's still some outflow, but maybe it's decelerating, right? And it gives you these buy signal that usually comes as these yellow bars right here. I want to kind of show you how this correlates with Danny's data, right? This is the monthly chart for Danny. And if you look over here at the buy signal, there only really were just two buy signals here, right? One around here, right smack here, you recognize this, down, flat, up, right? And then another one is right down here again, down, flat, up, right? It just happens to be like that. I don't know why, but you just recognize these and you look over at Danny's data and try to find where it was. Okay, down, flat, up, right? The Blackhead Indicator started coming on the candle after this formation. If you look at Danny's, it came about a candle even after that, right? So there might be a little bit of a delay there, right? But I still think that they correlate pretty well. Now, if you look at over here, again, down, flat, up, right? It gave a buy signal at the very same exact spot, right down here, right? So I did look at the Blackhead data, and I did see that there are going to be some signal that are not going to be correct, right? You have to be careful because there's going to be indicators that are just not going to work very well. For example, this right here, it did give you a false signal, didn't it? It gave you a buy signal. Hey, what the heck, man? It just kept going down, right? You have to be careful about these sorts of things. You cannot just use one indicator, right? You cannot just go by buy or sell signals. Another thing that I think is a little bit of a downfall of this indicator is only gives you a buy signal. It doesn't tell you when to sell, right? I mean, obviously, if you look at it, yeah, I think it's starting to roll over here. I might sell here. If you sell here, it's probably not a bad idea, right? Or if you start seeing it starting to roll over here, okay, I'm going to sell here. It's probably also not a bad idea, but it didn't really give you a sell signal. Whereas Danny's system here did give you some pretty clear sell signal right here to follow, right? So that's something to kind of take into consideration here. Even over here, I would argue if you buy here, but if you see that the trend is starting to go down, is starting to flip, you might end up, just taking a loss here because it might continue to go down. You just never know how bad or how vicious the outflow is going to be, right? But over the last cycle and over this cycle, based on flow, it does seem like there's a big change of trend here, right there, and this candle, the buy signal seemed to precipitate this whole move right up here, right? Same here. Buy candle, big inflow, right? It does make you wonder, and it does correlate somewhat with, pretty well actually, with Danny's data. Although there could be some false signal, you cannot just rely on this, right? Let's say, for example, if you rely on this buy candle right here, and next thing you know, you buy, well, the Bollinger Band is going to tell you, are you sure? I mean, there could be a trend change here, but you might be buying a falling knife here. There's no confirmation, right? Sure enough, right? So you have to use more than just one indicator to decide what you want to do. But so far, I'm showing you multiple indicators, as well as Danny's data. So far, things seem to look pretty bullish, right? Okay, I beat the monthly to death here. I'm going to move over to the weekly time frame here. With the weekly time frame, I always like to start with the bull market support band because it really kind of gives you a nice trend here. Now, the bull market support band is going to be consisted of the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average. It gives you a pretty nice band. Overall, if the band goes up, seems to be pretty good support for a bull market. When it goes down, seems to be a pretty good resistance for a bear market, right? So here it looks like we've been chopping around a little bit. We're still trying to decide what we want to do. Broke back above, test it right here, and now you got a pretty impulsive move up, right? Now, there's always going to be people that may see certain pattern and get you concerned even before the pattern is necessarily going to work out, right? What I mean by that is if you just look at here, it does look like a potential double top, doesn't it? And there might be people who are going to scare you and tell you that it looks like a double top. Don't buy here because it's going to go down, right? Well, guess what? You have to look at the trend. The trend's pointing up. This is basically going to tell you that more than likely it's going to find support and that the double top is going to fail because the trend is really pointing upwards. Same thing here. If you squint your eyes, you're going to see that, hey, maybe there's a double bottom right here. Maybe this is a good buy spot, right? Well, guess what? The moving averages, the bull market support trend is pointing down. Surfaced pretty strong resistance there, didn't it? So why do you think this is going to be a double top? It's just going to keep going down when the moving averages are pointing up? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Most likely also because of this trend up here on the weekly as well as the monthly, you have two different time frames that's basically telling you that the stock's probably going to go up. Now, earnings are coming up soon. Is this going to drop back down and test a bull market support band? Possible, right? Who knows what earnings is going to do? Nobody does, right? But overall, the trend is up, and I'm not going to go against the trend. Now, in addition to look at the bull market support band, in this time frame, I think when I was looking at the weekly, I was more looking at whether or not it was going to break out. I made a lot of posts back here, how I thought that, over here it got rejected from the weekly cloud, how it broke through and it got rejected from the top of the cloud, went back all the way down, and actually broke through a little bit below the cloud. But then eventually it's going to find its way up now. It really did break through this time, right? So when I see this kind of, pattern where it finally breaks through, and in addition, it didn't just break through, but it broke through with high volume, that really gives me good confirmation. I think a newer bull trend is starting. Now, when prices get above the cloud, I tend to lean more bullish, right? Especially when it's just fresh broke above the cloud. I tend to lean more bullish. On good volume too, as confirmation. So right now the cloud's probably not going to tell you too much. Sure, it found a little bit of support here off the tank and potentially could keep going up higher. But I think right now the weekly cloud has kind of lost its usefulness for me, so I'm probably not going to post about it as much. But it's still a very useful signal, especially before it starts to break out. What about the whale signal on the weekly time frame? What does it show? Let's look at it. Guess what? The last buy signal right there. The signal before that, right there. It's pretty good. As you can see, once you start to have flow really start to kind of turn around, it looks like it's going to roll back up. That's when a buy signal comes, and that's when you have a big giant candle, right? Same thing here. You start to see the trend kind of rolling up. And next thing you know, price goes up exponentially too. Pretty good, pretty helpful indicator. Now you can also see the same things happening here. Who knows how far up this is going to go? Right over here, it went on for like a few months, right? But I just want to let you know that this Blackhead indicator also works for the weekly time frame as well. The problem is it doesn't give you a sell signal. If you really want buy and sell signal, then his system is going to be a lot better. His system is actually going to be a lot more sensitive, but you can also do this on your own, right? A couple other things I want to show you. I was pointing this out a few months ago, how I think that Mara is making an inverse head and shoulder right here, right? This is the neckline. This is a pretty important level around 20. It looks like a shoulder, head, and shoulder, right? Inverse head and shoulder. When it came back down, I was still pretty convinced that this is still a inverse head and shoulder for a back test right here before going up. And when I was posting about this, people thought I was crazy. Hey, it broke down, man. Your inverse head and shoulder is not working anymore. Well, guess what? I think it's still working because I saw the same thing with Shopify. I saw the exact same thing back in 2022 and early 2023, right? You have a head and shoulder pattern right here. If you draw it, it might actually be kind of like a little bit closer up here, right? This is probably closer to the neckline up from the wicks. It went back down through it from this back test, actually to a little bit of a lower level, right? Sometimes back tests of these inverse head and shoulder can go past where you thought it was going to go. Not all of these patterns going to bounce off right there, not go down further and go up. You're going to have some fake outs here and there, right? And sure enough, Mara, when I saw that, I posted about how it looked like shop. It sure up, it bounced up, right? You have to put these things in context. So they're going to try to trick you. Now, in terms of the double top right here, we already talked about that. I'm just not sure. Again, I'm just going to show you bull market support band. I think that there's the potential for it to come down here again, but most likely it's probably going to find support as it goes up. And once it happens, if you look at the last bull market, it may not even get below or even touch the bull market support band for a very long time once things get going, right? There's a potential that we're still at the early stages of a very powerful bull market. Maybe we're around here just kind of playing things out, right? I don't know. Bitcoin right now is at 56K as we speak. Things are pumping. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I posted a lot over the last few months, over last year actually, about Mara. And I was buying Mara, and some of the people are like, why the heck are you buying it? I was buying this falling knife all the way down. I was buying this falling knife over here. I might stop buying. I think I've got what I wanted. Unless if it drops down significantly again, which I'm not sure if we're going to end up doing. For people who want to buy it, I hope it does. For people who are playing the double top right here, I guess I hope for you that it does. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm good. Unless the price really slowly go back down, especially if it's under 20, I might buy more. But I think I'm good. I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is not financial advice. I'm showing you what I see. Thank you so much for giving me 20 minutes of your live again. Have a good one. Bye.